podcast where we put you on the map. This is Ron Costa broadcasting live in the Mappable USA studios in Las Vegas, Nevada. And folks out there, who's got capital gains out there? That's a good thing. That means you probably made some money. But we'll talk about some ways that maybe you can keep it and how you can make the best of this whole Opportunity Zone program. So before we do that, let's introduce Vicki Hutchins from the QOZ Marketplace and the Opportunity Zones Authority. Vicki, how are you doing today?
Doing great, Ron. Another excellent day in Vegas, although I believe summer has arrived and we're now inching our way into the 110s, but we love it. No bugs, dry heat, we endure it. But today we're going to talk about opportunity zones. We're going to talk about impact investing, and we have a guest on that's been on before and an expert in impact investing and opportunity zones. And let's get started.
Excellent. So let's welcome back Bob Hutchens back to the show. Bob is the founder of Ellavoz Impact Capital. Bob, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Ron. Thank you for inviting me back. Vicki, thank you for participating and inviting me back to this program.
Absolutely. We're glad to have you back.
Bob.
Yeah. Did Vicki get you a little nervous there about the hot weather here? I know you've gotten the rain down on the Jersey Shore the last couple of days, huh?
Yes, the Memorial Day weekend, unfortunately, was a washout, but that happens sometimes. But we did okay. We put our Bruce Springsteen records on and did the best of it.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
That's a great way to spend the day for sure, and the gym workout, by the way.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah. I know you've been on the show before, but in case people missed you, can you give us a little overview on your background and maybe a little bit about Ellavoz?
Absolutely. I started my career with Price Waterhouse. I was senior tax associate with Price Waterhouse, went on to found my own CPA firm, grew that to we eventually merged with Withum Smith & Brown, which is one of the top 20 firms in the country. I retired from public accounting in order to start a social impact investment fund. Our Ellavoz Impact Capital is the advisory and management company for the Ellavoz Shared Values Opportunity Fund, which is a partnership of Ellavoz and New Jersey Community Capital. New Jersey Community Capital is the largest community development financing institution in New Jersey with over $500 million in assets under management, 34 years of successfully investing in distressed communities, underserved communities and businesses without losing investor money. And so we are the first opportunity fund in the country to be a true partnership with a CDFI, which, interesting enough, under President Biden's proposals for reforming the Opportunity Zone law, is the incentives for private sector capital and managers to partner with community development financing institutions. So we're about 2 years ahead of of all the good ideas.
Yeah, before we get into Biden's tax plan here, just on a top general level, who's looking at these opportunity zones right now? Who's a good investor for these? Just anyone who has capital gains taxes?
Yes, exactly. If you've got a significant capital gain and you're looking for a safe investment that gives you a tax-free return after 10 years of your investment, the opportunity zones are a very generous tax shelter strategy. Between the deferral of paying the tax until 2026, at which time you get the discounted, you can discount the amount of gain that you recognize by 10% if you invest this year. And then if you hold the fund for a total of 10 years, the entire gain on the sale of the fund assets is tax-free. Here in New Jersey, for instance, it's tax-free for federal and state tax purposes. So we've run the numbers on scenarios present tax rates, proposed tax rates by the Biden administration. And what we found is that there is actually an increase in the after-tax returns of opportunity fund investment versus the exact similar non-opportunity fund investment of capital gain dollars.
Yeah, that's really amazing. Does that apply for real estate funds and business funds as well? It's because I know you can invest in a business in an opportunity zone as well, right?
We have not done that yet. We're investing in primarily affordable residential housing. And affordability we consider to be between 80 and 120% of the area median income. This is a sweet spot for us. We're very good at what we do. There's a lot of tax incentives, a lot of capital available that is non-dilutive capital when we do these deals, and they offer a very reliable revenue stream, which gives our deals a very low risk. We look at business. We look at investing in businesses as not something that we want to do as an opportunity zone, but we want to invest in business real estate, mixed use, commercial, industrial, etc. In the communities in which we have property. So right now, for instance, our Newark Arts Commons, which is the redevelopment of the old St. Michael's Hospital, 88,000 square feet, into workforce housing. It's mixed use. It's the 3 top floors are workforce housing, and the bottom 2 floors are a glass blowing factory, artist studios, educational classrooms, and other community arts space, including a coffee shop. So we like that kind of mixed-use property, but we like real estate-based assets. That's our sweet spot.
Yeah, and every time I'm listening to something that these Biden capital gains tax proposals, I always seem to get different information out there, and it's really controversial. Do you know any of the specifics involved, like what he's proposing?
Sure, absolutely. Now, on the income tax side, he's proposing to increase corporate taxes from 21% to 28%. I just finished a investor call with a bank that's looking to invest. They have capital gains. And the question came to me, what do you think it'll end up to be? I think it's going to be 25%. There seems to be a nonpartisan agreement that 25% corporate rate will be where they wind up, even though he wants 28. So I anticipate 21 going to 25. On the income tax side, Biden's asking to return to the 39.6% top rate versus the 37%. As you can see, that's a minimal difference and probably land somewhere in the middle. But what's most significant is capital gains and capital gains. Biden's proposal is that if you have over $1 million in income in any given year, your capital gain rate will go to the highest ordinary income tax rate. So let's assume you have well over $1 million in income, including your capital gains. Whereas before, your capital gains rate was a combination of a 20% federal capital gains tax and the 3.8 net investment income tax for a total of 23.8%. Biden's proposal is that you would go to 39.6% plus 3.8% for a total of 43.4%. When you add on some of the higher state taxes, like New Jersey, where you're at least 10%, you'd be looking for high net worth individuals, our kind of investors and our high net worth advisory clients here are all in that group. You know, you'd be paying somewhere close to 55% on capital gains between federal and state. That's a pretty high rate. That's why opportunity funds offer an excellent tax shelter for ultra high net worth or high net worth individuals, in that it doesn't matter where the capital gain tax rate falls, because the capital gain is excluded from taxation. There's no tax at all.
Incentive.
The tax rate is zero.
Right. So if you're generating capital gains and you want to avoid the higher rate of the Biden administration, it offers an incentive to invest in opportunity zones more so than before this administration. So that just means more investment in opportunity zones with more social impact.
Exactly. The estate tax is a big effect on opportunity zone planning too. Biden wants the 40% to go to 45%. And currently, there's about $11.5 million portable estate and gift tax exclusion per spouse. So if you're married and you have a net worth of $23 million, you can pretty much transfer that without any wealth transfer tax. Biden wants it to bring it back down to $3.5 million per spouse. That in my opinion, it'll probably sunset back to around 5.6, which is by that time will probably be about 6.5 million. But the most dramatic change to that is that he wants to change or disconnect the gift tax from the estate tax exclusion and only have a $1 million exclusion on gift taxes. We're working with our ultra high net worth individuals right now in making gifts and using up the entire generation skipping transfer tax exclusions before year end, because we want to take advantage of the fact that the IRS is not going to claw back this very generous GST exclusion, but going forward, it won't be available for planning. So there's a lot of estate tax planning going on, or should be going on right now. I know we're working with some of our independent RIA colleagues in their capital gain management, as well as some of their estate planning for their clients around these proposals. One of the largest tax benefits that may evaporate is the step up in basis rules at death. I did a lot in my in my CPA career. I did a lot of very high net worth, ultra high net worth estate and income tax planning, and on the estate tax, I utilized the step up in basis as a tremendous tax shelter for appreciated assets and after death, sheltering the income from those assets with increased appreciation. So it's a very complicated area of tax law, but the president's proposal are attacking these what I would call bread and butter estate tax planning strategies, because they will bring in significant tax dollars to the Treasury.
Well, yeah, and that just proves that you have to be aware of what's going on so that you can do what's necessary within your estate planning to accommodate for what's going on or it's going to happen in the future. When do you anticipate this is going to go into effect? Is that at the end of this year?
Well, what's interesting is in the Green Book that was recently released for the budget, the Biden administration is calling on late April, like the 28th of April, as the effective date for the increase in capital gains taxes, because he doesn't want people to start. No, this year. It's a retroactive.
This year. Oh, okay.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, it's retroactive.
Oh.
Because by the time it comes into law, he doesn't want people selling everything now as it's being debated, I guess, in Congress in order to avoid the higher rate. So I don't know if that will end up in the final bill. That could be subject to a very partisan debate.
Right.
But it is very significant to individuals that have recognized very high capital gains after April 28th, because they may be subject to the increased rates. We're already talking with a real estate developer who sold a $280 million portfolio with $120 million of gain. And that is a significant issue for them because the closing was after that date. So we're working with them to see how we can shelter as much as that. The one of the Biden proposals that's extremely interesting is he wants to repeal the not only does he want to repeal the step up in basis, but he'll replace it with a capital gain due at death. So if you have an appreciated asset at death, he'll say, okay, we'll give you the step up in basis, but you have to pay the capital gain tax on it within your estate. So we're now incorporating our Opportunity Zone fund advisory services to our larger family office clients as a means for where individuals can exclude that capital gain from their estate, if that happens, if that is passed, by the fact that opportunity fund gains are not includable in income. So the Biden administration is doing a lot to tax the upper 1%. There's no doubt about it. They've targeted the upper 1% of earners, and most of them receive a lot of dividends and a lot of capital gains. They use 1031 exchanges, which Biden is talking about, although it's not in the Green Book. He's in his original platform. He wants to do away with 1031 exchanges. His proposal to say if you have appreciated assets in your estate that you have to pay the capital gain on them at death is a form of eliminating 1031s after your death. It's saying that, okay, you can do a 1031 while you're alive, but when you die, you have to pay the piker. You can't allow this to get a free step up in basis at death, and then your beneficiaries get all the benefits of that tax-free step up. So opportunity zone investing can circumvent a lot of this, and we're working with some of the top tax law firms in the country, working on some strategies for our investor clients that they can utilize opportunity fund investing to minimize the effect of these tax increases. And by the way, it's not just avoiding taxes. What it's about is also redeveloping distressed communities. So as a fiscal policy, we think that this will just drive more money into underserved communities, underserved entrepreneurs, and minority businesses. So we think that the fiscal policy of any of these tax law changes may in fact drive a lot of private capital to where the government wants it to be.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's like he may be inadvertently by increasing tax rates and what have you here and there, he may inadvertently just be enhancing the Opportunity Zone program by putting more money into the Opportunity Zone program and at the same time into the distressed areas. So, but let me ask you this, Bob. In the event that people who are listening to us have these extra capital gains or are worried about the estate tax and the capital gains and the impact on their entire planning, financial planning, what kind of strategies have you come up with, if you have yet, on what they can do, and are there time limits on when they can do it?
Well, if you're an individual, the general rule is you have 180 days to take your capital gain profit and invest it into a tax-qualified opportunity fund. And you should be talking to your tax accountant, your tax attorney. We're a resource that works with your CPA firm, your law firm, your financial advisor, and we bring it all together and work with high net worth individuals who have these capital gains and start planning as soon as possible, even before you recognize them, so that you know what you have. There's a lot of tax planning that can be done prior to the actual transaction. But once the transaction is completed, generally, in order to be able to take advantage of the opportunity fund reinvestment, you have 180 days to invest in the fund. And I urge your listeners not to wait to the last minute, because it's just not the right way to make an investment, so to speak.
Exactly.
We like to be involved. We're a firm of CPAs, attorneys, and opportunity fund investment bankers. So we're really more a specialty advisory practice here on all things impact investing and opportunity zone investing. And so we can complement registered investment advisors and CPA firms and tax lawyers. We can complement them with our strategies, our opportunity, our actual funds that we have available at that time, and we can develop what we call captive opportunity funds. And we're working on one of those right now with a substantial investor client, where they're the only investor in the fund, because they have a specific project that is probably a $100 million project.
Yeah, it's a huge project, no question. We're talking about all the things that you're talking about tax-wise here, everything you have to be aware of, and all these numbers and figures and time limits and things like that. How does, I guess these high-net individual people are different from your everyday Joe, but how do people do this by themselves? I mean, don't you just have to engage professionals to get you over all these humps and everything? It just makes sense, right?
Oh, you're absolutely right. In practice, the tax professionals, the attorneys, the CPAs, and the investment advisors have really not aggressively grasped the opportunity zone investing as a tax strategy yet. We work with a couple, and it's been very successful. But I think Biden's tax proposals are awakening a lot of high net worth individuals who have capital gains to say, hey, what about these opportunity zones? What can I do to shelter these? And in many cases, for instance, I was just talking to an independent financial advisor, and he came up with, harvesting losses, and he came up with this. I said, did you think about an opportunity fund? And he goes, I really didn't. I don't know too much about that. Would you like to learn? I said, I'll be glad to go through it with you, and if you think you have clients that would benefit by that, we can work together on that. When I finished my discussion with him, he says, "Oh my God, I'm going to call all my clients and see if let me go look and see if anyone has capital gains," because the very professionals that should be doing this proactively are not. We don't sell funds. We're an advisory firm for impact investing. We're a management firm for opportunity zone funds. We are the management firm for the New Jersey Community Capital Opportunity Fund. It's called the Ellavoz Shared Values Opportunity Fund 1, 2, and 3, and there'll be 4 and 5 and 6 and as we go forward. So we're probably the only true opportunity fund manager that is only dedicated to the investor. We're not a real estate developer looking for investor financing. We're not a private equity firm looking to grow fees and carried interest. We don't charge carried interest or anything like that. Our fees are the lowest in the industry. We are a true shared values opportunity fund advisor and manager, and we love to work with other professionals to help clients.
Yeah, we're gonna link to everything you just said, but I'll tell you, you hit the nail on the head with this, because it is really amazing. During the pre-podcast talk we had with you, you mentioned how you thought that the Biden strategy towards taxation and capital gains is going to drive more people to opportunity zones, and I really wasn't quite sure what you were going with at that point. But after hearing this podcast, I understand exactly what you're talking about. And it's really, it's huge. It's going to be a really, really big thing for these high net worth people. And you're right. This is something that they have to be aware of.
Oh yeah. And there's the time sensitivity of making the investment, etc. So it's best to bring the professionals in as soon as you have a proposed transaction that results in a sizable gain. Yeah,
that's right.
Right.
And Bob, before we close out this podcast, let's talk a little bit about impact investing and what you guys are doing that way versus, I guess, regular investing, or are there levels of this? What do you guys think about that?
Sure. I've been asked this a couple of times, and there's a great amount of discussion on ESG, right? Environmental, social, governance investing, and everyone talks about socially responsible investing. Socially responsible investing is really if there's a pyramid, it's at the bottom of the pyramid. It's been around a long time, but it meets the individual investor's personal core values. I decide what's good or bad for society. I don't want to invest in tobacco or liquor or whatever. It's not measurable to societal needs or goals. It's only based simply self satisfaction of my own values, and it's good, nothing wrong with it, but it doesn't do society any good. It's more of a reflection of our personal values, but it's important. ESG, environmental, social, and governance investing, has really been, in my opinion, overplayed in the marketing department. There's a term, greenwashing, which is you put a marketing wrap around a product and you call it ESG, and people are going to be more engaged to it. ESG investing is really a risk management metric consideration for portfolios. These are those companies less or more likely to cause damage to the environment, be socially unconscious, or have poor governance in their oversight of resources. It rewards well-run companies for considering their product or service outputs back into society as well as profit. So, if you're Amazon and you're creating more cardboard boxes than you can imagine with a lot of bubble wrap and plastic that takes 1,000 years to deteriorate, maybe you're not meeting that ESG goal because the bubble wrap is not biodegradable. ESG investing is measurable to other financial performance indexes, but it's really not accountable to output accomplishments beyond a do no harm. Do no harm. That's really what ESG is. It's a risk management metric about do not do no harm. In true impact investing, and we call it shared values investing because it's equally considering the investor's return and risk with society's needs and investment. So to us, impact investing is the investor's intentional solving of specific and significant societal problems. Now, the most widely known is the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And we are, as a firm, primarily focused on goal number 11, sustainable communities, and the applicable outcome targets of safe and affordable housing. That's what 80% of our investments are in the housing, the residential housing side. You've heard the term social entrepreneurship. You may even be involved. I've been involved in social entrepreneurship. I've founded 3 different charities. Two of them I continue to be involved in, and one I'm actively running. I continue to be president and chairman of the board of trustees. It is a 48-bed residential healthcare facility that takes care of very low-income, seriously mentally ill adults. Probably the hardest population to manage, and they are somewhere between an institution and homelessness. But we do it very successfully. Social entrepreneurship is hard, and generally social entrepreneurs risk their own capital or their own opportunity. There's opportunity time. They could be making money or doing something. So similar to social entrepreneurship, except that private capital is not donated, which you would to a charity, but invested for a reasonable return and a reasonable rate of risk to the investor that accomplishes a specific goal that makes a positive change to the lives of human beings. When investing to build sustainable communities, for instance, we also look to partner with community stakeholders that provide or promote equitable access to the other sustainable development goals of quality education, which is goal number 4. We, in one of our projects, we're looking to partner with a not-for-profit that will provide tutoring within the walls of our apartments in a room, and we'll provide technology and a tutoring room. And healthcare, which is goal number 3. People who have stable housing are more healthy. They're more apt to have access to healthcare. And economic opportunity, which is goal number 8, where that 20% of our fund investing in commercial, non-residential, industrial, real estate projects that bring jobs to the community. We'd love to do an Amazon warehouse somewhere near one of our projects that will provide good-paying union jobs with benefits. So we think that housing, safe and affordable housing, is the foundation for all the other societal needs that can be built upon that. And so that's our definition of impact investing. It's much more involved, much more direct, much more impactful, much more sustainable, and that's the most important part. It's transformative. When we can transform a asset class, we create a new asset class that transforms private capital into community development. We solve one of the biggest problems in this country with regards to equality and housing.
It's all one big cycle, that everything is relative, and if the end result is impacting and elevating communities from distressed to from distressed to better and bettering people's lives, what more could you want out of the work that you do or the impact that you have, regardless of the means that you get there? You've changed people's life. You've changed their world. You've made their world better. And what more could you want from life?
Exactly. We call that legacy investing. And our Ellavoz Impact Angel Network is a cute little video on our website, www.ellavoz.com, that talks about legacy. And the handsome gray-haired gentleman just might look like me. But I think that's exactly right. You know, there was a saying one time, think what you want your legacy or what you want your legacy to be on your deathbed, and then just work backwards. True impact investing can get you there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then I guess that's the best way to get a hold of you, Bob, right? Go to the website, or is there anything else?
My contact email, my direct phone number, my cell phone numbers on there. You can leave a message on the website. You can email me at robert@ellavoz.com, and we will get back to you as soon as possible. The website's pretty comprehensive.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been there. I've read your blog and a lot of other things. You guys do a really good job of keeping everybody well informed and, of course, educated. Because as the audience sees today, this is information that a lot of people need to know, especially with the Biden proposals on the capital gains. And I'll tell you, I think you kind of nailed it today. And everybody who's listening to this really should contact you and get just get yourself in order with this. And this is a great opportunity for a lot of people who are high net worth and need these tax incentives. Absolutely, this is huge. So
yes, it is.
Vicki,
yep.
Yeah, it reminds me of that whole thing about what's worse than taxation without representation. Taxation with representation, because it gets so high. But anyway, Vicki, what do you think about this? Did you get your share of info from Bob today?
Oh my God, more than my share, Ron. When we first started talking about opportunity zones, Ron and I were just absolutely floored and amazed at what a good program it was, what a special program it was, and how it could have such a social impact on people's lives. And we're stunned at the fact that there were so many people who had no idea what it was. All of these years later, people still don't understand what it is, as Bob was saying, but you need to have some kind of a scary event like raising your taxes to make people stop and think that, oh, well, maybe there's something I can do. And as I said, if what you can do to deal with your tax liabilities and shelter your tax liabilities and at the same time change the world and have an impact on people's lives, oh, my God, what more could you want except to talk to Bob to make it happen? Because buzzwords are buzzwords, but taking the action, doing the reality, making something happen, you need people like Bob with the expertise to show you how to make it happen, to show you how you actually can change the world. Contact Bob.
Thank you.
And lastly, much. Bob, aren't doing podcasts a lot more fun than running errands in your house?
Absolutely.
Or cleaning the closet.
Yeah.
All right.
I should have called you.
Well,
can't clean the house today. You got to do a podcast.
Yeah, it's always good to leave a podcast on an up note, for sure. So listen, Bob, again, thanks a lot for taking the time out to be a guest and to speak to our audience. Vicki, thanks for your co-hosting on this episode. And folks, are listening to the Mappable USA podcast at MappableUSA.com. If you go to that website, you scroll down, you'll see all our syndication sources. Just pick the one you like best, subscribe to it, and you'll never miss another one of our episodes. If you want to be a guest on the show like Bob was today, there's a guest tab there. Fill that out. We'll see what we can do about getting you on the show. And if you like what you heard today, send us an email at info@MappableUSA.com, or just leave a comment on whatever page you're listening to this on right now. Thank you so much for your support. We'll be at you next time with another Mappable USA podcast. Have a great week, everyone.